A little about me. Well, I've been retired for almost 20 years. Did a lot of volunteer work in the past and was looking for something challenging, something that helps the community and was, hard. It was difficult. It was something that presented a challenge to me. And several years ago, on the front page of the local paper, there was a story about CASA. I read it and said, this looks very interesting, and did some research online, looked at the website, saw what they were doing, and thought to myself, am I capable of doing this? Or, is this something I can do and do well? And, contacted Paula and went through a rather rigorous interview process. I mean, this is not something that you can just walk in and say, I'd like to do this, and they sign you up. You actually get vetted pretty extensively. They want to make sure you're a fit and that you'll be able to help the children that you're charged with and not, cause them more turmoil than they've already been through. And then there was some extensive training. I believe it was like 8 weeks, once a week at night for 2 or 3 hours. And then again, that was very intensive. It was very broad-based and, start to finish what a CASA does and what's expected of them. And once again, you're vetted again. I mean, you go through a background check. Both with the local and national law enforcement, so that they know that you're a good person, that you're not going to cause them problems or bad headlines. And after that, it took a while because they ask you what type of child would you like to work with. My request was to work with adolescent and teenage boys because they're probably most in need of a male figure in their life, and a lot of people don't want to work with them. And so I said, I like that. I mean, I have a son of my own, and so I'm used to being around boys. Also have a stepdaughter, and there's a lot of people who work with teenage girls. I don't think I could deal with the drama, to be honest with you. I coached a girls' soccer team until they got to be 12 or 13, and then the drama just got to be too much. So, I love being around kids. I have 5 grandkids, and so, I love being around children. And especially like being around, boys who need someone in their life, because a lot of them don't have a male figure in their life. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of male CASAs. We're probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 20%. I don't know what the percentage is, but there's not a lot of male CASAs out there. So they were glad I wanted to volunteer for that age group. I guess the reward for doing this kind of work is seeing a child placed where they're going to be successful and they're going to succeed. And sometimes, most times with my cases, that's with family. And the court system offers a lot of support, trying to bring the family back together. Reunification is the main goal, to get families back together. And the reward is seeing that happen. And in my cases, that has happened. It doesn't happen in all cases. Sometimes there is no family place for a child. And so we look at adoption as an alternative, or the court does. But we usually try to recommend reunification where it's possible, because the child needs a family. We also try to keep siblings together because there's a strong bond between siblings. It may not be noticeable, but there is. I mean, I have 2 little boys that, one of my cases, and they're very well bonded. I mean, they play well, they care about each other, one of them, the younger one, looks up to the older one and tries to, imitate what he's doing. So, the reward is watching the child be placed somewhere where he is successful and loved and cared for. Being a CASA volunteer is really not for everyone. I mean, it is challenging work. It can be heartbreaking work where a child has been abused or neglected. And it can be heartbreaking when there is, no good place in a family for a child. And you have to say, where is the best place for this child? Is it being adopted? Is it remaining in foster care? After we've done everything we can to place them, but it is not an easy job. It can be emotionally uplifting. It can be emotionally draining. So it's not an easy job, but it is so rewarding to see, to have a child that you're helping be so glad to see you, to be, to trust in you, to know that you're going to be there for him or her. That's the reward. I mean, you have to really love children to do this job. You have to have a big heart and a forgiving heart, because some of these children have been through so much neglect and abuse that you really want to dismiss the family, but you really can't do that. What you really have to look at is, how can we make this family work? How can we make it better? How can we make it a family for this child? I'm Bob Almand, and I've been a CASA volunteer since 2018. I've had 3 cases, and all of them have been rewarding to experience. If you think you can do this kind of job, contact CASA of Forsyth. They'll welcome you, and it is a very rewarding job. To have a child say, "Thank you for being in my life," means a lot.